Today, we're going to be looking at angles that are inside and outside of circles. The first one we're going to be looking at is the vertex is inside the circle. The vertex, though, is not at the center. The formula that we'll be using is angle equals arc plus arc divided by 2. Some things to remember when working with these angles that are inside or outside the circle. You need to remember vertical angles. Vertical angles are always equal. And then we have linear pairs. Linear pairs, they will be equal in 180 degrees. Our first example, we will solve for x. Our formula that we're going to be using is up in the top corner, angle equals arc plus arc divided by 2. So we have the arc at 129 degrees plus 71 degrees divided by 2. And that will give us the x that we're looking for. So 129 plus 71, 200 degrees divided by 2. X will equal 100 degrees. Our next example is a little different, but we're still solving for x. And we're still using the same formula up in the top corner. So our arc we have is 107 degrees plus 19 degrees divided by 2 gives me the angle right here. So remember, this formula is used to find the angle that is right in front of the arc degrees on both sides. Okay, so when we do this, we get 107 plus 19, we get 126, divide by 2, 63 degrees. So that lets us know that this right in here is 63 degrees. But we need to find x over here. So think back to earlier on that we talked about linear pair. These angles are supplementary, which means they have to equal 180 degrees. So then we need to take 180, subtract 63 to give us our remaining, which is 117 degrees. Our next one is when the vertex is outside the circle. So you see here we have 3 different examples of how the angle is represented outside the circle. So in any of these cases here, you would take the angle instead of equal to large arc minus small arc divided by 2. So our next example, we'll be looking at the new formula up in the top corner here. The large arc minus small arc divided by 2, or the big arc. So we identified the big arc at 125. So we have 125. Minus our small arc at 27, and then we put it all over 2. So when we subtract, we get 98 divided by 2, and the outside angle is 49. Example 4 is done a little differently, and the reason why is because we have the large arc identified at 200, but our small arc is not, right in here. But we can find it because we know a whole circle equals 360 degrees. So we have 200 degrees and we have 40 degrees over there, and so we get 240. So we're going to subtract that from 360 to give us 120. So right there is 120. Put that all over 2. And now we can solve for our outside angle. So we get 80 over 2, x will equal 40 degrees. For this next example, we'll still be using the same formula up top. What I recommend doing is substituting everything that you know into the formula and then solve from there. So we know the large arc is 134. The small arc, in this case, is unknown, and it's x. Let's put it all over 2. We do know the outside angle. The outside angle is 46. So, in order to solve for x, we need to get rid of that 2 in the denominator. And so we need to multiply both sides of the equation by 2. So we get 134 minus x equal to 92. Solve for x by subtracting 134 to both sides. Negative x equal to negative 42. Divide by negative 1 because we do not want a negative x. X equal to 42 degrees. So our last example, if you notice, we have two tangent lines to the circle. And so in this case, and only in this case only, the small arc and the outside angle, both of those will equal 180 degrees. That's just something to keep in mind. Now you can find x that way using that, but then you still have y that you need to find. And if you go about that way first, then you're going to have to work backwards like we were doing on the last example. I just recommend finding, y first, because a whole circle equals 360 degrees. Subtract 117, we get 243 degrees. So y equals 243 degrees. And so then we can just plug in information that we know. So we now know the large arc is 243 degrees. Subtract 117 degrees. Put it all over 2. And then we'll be able to find x, or outside angle. So we get 126. And then we get 63 degrees. That is x. We have x. We have two answers. X equals 63. And we have y at 243 degrees.